Hello and welcome back to the P&P Videocast. I am your host Brian, and today we are going to be revisiting a period I consider to be the golden age of physical media, the 2000s. This is when more media was available physically than ever before. Media was treated with reverence, with high-quality special editions being produced. Care was put into releases containing additional content related to movies, which is mostly what we're going to be focusing on here, specifically the home video rental market. This was a very interesting 10 years with the transition to DVD, the mainstream breakthrough of video games, and competition from digital streaming services like Netflix, which generally takes the blame for its eventual collapse. We will be looking at commercials, promotions, and the companies that failed and thrived, as well as some related memories. Very excited for this. Before we get into it, this and every video on this and our other channel was made possible thanks to our patrons over at patreon.com/picsandportraits. In exchange, they get access to dozens of exclusive videos and series like Moral Media, a media mix exploring moral panics, Feature Film, other media mixes, Liminal Dreams, my book, Nostophobia, the Nostalgia Economy. $5 a month gets you access to all of this and more and keeps it all coming, so if you have the means, please consider supporting us. Now, we saw the very early days of video rental in our video on boutique video labels. As home video, VHS became more accessible, it became more popular, and video stores offered consumers a chance to borrow or rent movies rather than buy them. Tapes used to be extremely expensive, so this was a comparatively cost-effective way to watch movies. Numerous chains emerged, the most popular, at least in North America, being Blockbuster Video. Given it was the biggest, a lot of what we are going to be seeing is from them. Being industry leader, they established a lot of trends, and there is a lot of marketing material for them. The time, around the turn of the millennium, marked a major transition from analog video to digital. Starting in the late 90s, DVD began replacing VHS. DVD offered a better viewing experience. Each VHS tape could only hold so much information and still present an acceptable image. This meant longer films, commercial releases had to be split. This would be true of some early DVDs as well, but overall the entire film could fit on one disc. I feel like most people associate DVD with video, but any information can be stored on it. It's versatile, digital versatile disc. PS2 games used it. I think the PS2, PlayStation 2, deserves a ton of credit with helping popularize the format. A DVD was the same physical size as a CD, but could store a lot more information, which is one of the reasons why the format was adopted as VHS's replacement for home video. The picture was also a lot sharper, the audio was better. At this time, with advancements in television technology, we were seeing LCD, plasma flat screens, moving away from the 4x3 square. DVDs were offered in both cropped full screen and widescreen editions, which obviously was actually the full picture. I feel like DVD was the last time physical media was, and probably will be, to be honest, presented with appreciation. That content was treated with reverence on such a massive scale. I love how accessible media is nowadays, but it's nothing but data. During the 10 or so years, 97 through 2007, you had these 20 or 30-year-old movies being released on DVD, and it was a huge deal. Every Tuesday, new releases of then modern films and classics would be released. Stores would count down weeks until they came out, and had entire sections dedicated to the movie. There were midnight launches. These were more popular with games, but for some things, stores would open up at midnight, day of release, and there were only so many copies. You had to line up overnight to make sure you got yours. The idea of special features, material related to the movie, being included alongside it, started with Laserdisc, but DVD really leaned into this. These incredible sets came out with art prints, booklets, commentary tracks, multiple commentaries with the stars or directors, other experts, short documentaries on the making of the movie, feature-length documentaries, trailers, TV spots, other promotional stuff. Sometimes on VHS, you'd maybe get a music video tacked on at the end of the tape, but with DVD, entire discs worth of supplementary material came with some movies. Video stores have been building up VHS stock for decades when DVD debuted, and the move to another format was expensive for them. Now I'm sure many associate video stores with the 90s and VHS, pizza, the weekend, but places like Blockbuster operated well into even the streaming era. Blockbuster was founded in 1985 and very quickly established itself as the dominant video rental store. Throughout the rest of the 80s and 90s, it expanded across America and then the world. In 1997, when it was clear that DVD was going to be the new standard format, Warner Bros. Offered Blockbuster exclusive rights to rent DVDs of their films before they would be released for purchase. In exchange, they would get the same deal they already had for VHS, 40% of the revenue from the rental of their films, but Blockbuster declined. I think turning this deal down really hurt them, as Warner Bros. Would instead lower the wholesale price of their DVDs, thus allowing retailers to charge less when selling them, making owning more affordable, and really opening up the purchasing market. However, around 2000-2001, Blockbuster was still on top. Their first major ad campaign of the 21st century was Carl and Ray. This began as a Super Bowl commercial in 2002 that starred Jim Belushi and James Woods as a guinea pig and a rabbit. These were more or less short vignettes. The humor came from the reaction to new deals, like multiple rentals for a low fixed price, or guaranteed stock. This is one of the bigger ways larger chains competed, or just flat out crushed, independent stores. If there was a new movie out, it was guaranteed to be in stock, or you'd get it free next time. They ordered several copies and would simply sell off excessive copies once the hype died down. The early 2000s was also the period where gaming was really taking off. A lot of this had to do with the Xbox, an American console entering the market, and the fact that the PS2 also served as the DVD player, which you talked about earlier. At the time, DVD players were still very expensive. Games were no longer relegated to children and nerds. This was the rise of the gamer archetype, game culture, for better or worse. There were retail stores specializing in selling video games, both new and used, and it was that last one that really gave them an early advantage over Blockbuster. Customers could trade in their used games, sometimes at a fraction of their original costs, for store credit towards new games or other used games. Blockbuster sought to compete with these retailers with a Game Pass that allowed certain amount of game rentals for a monthly fee, and eventually began offering a trade-in service of their own. They would later expand their services to include selling new games and consoles, a sort of store within the store known as Game Rush. They would also sell DVDs. Blockbuster went online. Here we're seeing their website circa 2006, the game section specifically with the Game Rush branding. In 2005, Blockbuster made a move to purchase their largest competitor, Hollywood Video. A good introduction to Hollywood Video and actually working at a video store is this training video I found circa 2004. This sells the lie that you are working in the entertainment business. This is retail, but it appeals to a certain kind of person, film nerds, aspiring filmmakers. Working here, one might think it's like Clerks, but really it's closer to working at Walmart or any other retail, pushing promotions, loyalty programs, and meeting sales goals. This is a standard training video, starting with the outline of policies around harassment. We get some pretty wild and very uncomfortable dramatizations, but more importantly, some great shots of the interior of Hollywood Video. This includes marketing material and the front desk area, as well as the video game section, which we will talk about soon. While it may not be the most exciting, this does offer a fascinating glimpse behind the scenes at the operation of a video rental chain. We are led into a call center that served customers, I'm assuming with things like disputes. Anyone who has ever worked in service knows what it's like to get threatened with a lawsuit because something isn't in stock, or some other policy you have no control over. Those calls would be directed here. They also dealt with vendors in studios to coordinate releases and marketing. Here is the distribution center with different sections named after streets in Hollywood. All the videos, promotional stuff, cases, concessions even, came from here. We see how media is prepared for rental, which I thought was extremely interesting. To really date this though, the final part is a Jackass parody, complete with a warning. It's known as Knuckleheads. It's basically a safety video where exaggerated stunts a la Jackass are presented as the wrong way of doing things, so you can calmly be shown the correct way. As I was saying earlier, like Blockbuster, Hollywood had their own video game section, Game Crazy, that we've seen throughout this. They actually beat Blockbuster to the punch. Game Crazy was founded in 1999 and would almost always be contained within a Hollywood Video. Instead of going with Blockbuster, Hollywood Video was instead bought out by the smaller Movie Gallery, though they would continue operating them as Hollywood Video, as subsidiary, rather than straight up convert them to movie galleries. Now, before we see how everything fell apart, I'd like to quickly look at local independent video stores during this decade. We talk about accessibility, but affordable recording technology and video hosting platforms like YouTube gave local video stores, indies, a platform. I absolutely love these independently produced commercials, or the home video footage that's available. Here is a homemade commercial for a movie gallery that is a great snapshot into the day-to-day functioning of a store, rather than a dressed-up, idealized corporate version that we've seen so far, and other promotional material. I think this is an accurate depiction before the bottom totally fell out. The warning signs were there. Blockbuster introduced a bunch of new policies, like abolishing late fees in 2005. Commercials were produced celebrating this, like they already knew it was an awful practice. They also produced a series looking at what life looked like after late fees. Anecdotal experiences are presented, like a busy mother not having to worry about getting charged because she couldn't make it to the store in time. In reality, this only gave customers a week past the due date before they were charged the full price of the movie or game, which predictably led to legal action, as the customers believed the advertising to be misleading. In 2005, they also launched an unlimited rental program, All You Can Watch. This was $24.99, but was later slashed to $14.99, and gave the option of unlimited rentals, with the caveat that they could only rent out one movie or game per visit. For the second time in 10 years, video stores were also faced with a new physical media format, Blu-ray, introduced in 2006. This beat out HD DVD to be the standard in high-definition video. Unlike DVD, consumers were not quick to get on board, especially given that this overlapped with the rise of internet streaming. Netflix had started as a video-by-mail service, but in 2007 they started streaming content over the internet via subscription, and this more or less began a cultural shift in how people view or rent movies. That same year, Blockbuster Total Access debuted. Dubbed by pundits of the time as a possible Netflix killer, this was Blockbuster's movie-by-mail service. Unlike Netflix, this gave you the option to return movies you rented online in-store at a certain membership level, which we see here. There are 4 different levels that allowed the rental of 1 to 3 DVDs at a time, with a premium option to have unlimited in-store exchanges. Despite this effort, Blockbuster faced increasing competition from Netflix, a company they once had the chance to buy in 2000 for $50 million. Looking at the advertising Blockbuster was putting out, you could tell they saw Netflix as serious competition. Every one of their ads mentions Netflix. They attempted to compete with the purchase of MovieLink, a video-on-demand service, but obviously this never took off. In 2008, they also failed to acquire electronics chain Circuit City, and in 2010, Blockbuster's old rival, Hollywood Video, folded, signaling the end of this era of video rental. Redbox and similar DVD rental kiosks gained popularity around this time too. These were kinda like video vending machines in convenience stores or malls. As it was a third-party service, stores didn't have to worry about ordering new movies, but the writing was on the wall that physical media was in decline. Nearly $1 billion in debt, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy in September 2010, closing many of its stores. The following year, satellite TV provider Dish Network purchased its assets and attempted to keep 500 of its corporate-owned stores open. Most of these were shuttered by 2014, and between then and now, pretty much all the franchise stores have followed suit. The brand still has some value, as it is synonymous with video rental and nostalgia. Merchandise continues to be made. A store in Bend, Oregon continues using the store's marketing itself as the last Blockbuster. I get that Blockbuster is held very close to a lot of people's hearts, but I always preferred independent stores or Jumbo Video up here in Canada. Smaller places tended to cater to more niche interests, something else that we talked about in the boutique label video. Blockbuster carried more commercial or mainstream titles and shied away from certain genres. Not only just adult films, but any kind of niche subgenre would not be carried. Horror being a big one, any movie with excessive violence as well. This period saw a huge jump in terms of visual media, as you have seen, from standard to high definition, analog to digital video. It also kicked off, which we would see more of in the next decade, but the move from physical media to digital media, at least in terms of popularity. Overnight, many retailers, or at least their DVD sections, disappeared with the shift to online. This is still happening, as today most people don't have a physical media collection. There are numerous streaming services that continue raising prices and restricting content. In theory, media is way more accessible and affordable today. The physical home video rental market may have collapsed, but streaming is renting today. Traditional and pay-per-view also still exist. YouTube and Amazon, other streaming services offer digital movie rentals as well. I'm someone who still buys physical movies. Again, we have a whole video about the people and companies keeping physical alive. Video retail stores and physical video should absolutely make a comeback, but physical rental isn't the most economic or consumer-friendly choice. For the price of 2 rentals, you can get access to massive media libraries full of different TV shows and movies. However, license agreements can end at any time, content can be pulled, prices raised, so buy the things you love if you have the chance. Again, we looked at the history of boutique video labels. Boutique video stores are still a thing. I plan on making another video around video retailers, but that's going to be it for today. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and if you have the means, please consider supporting us on Patreon. The Nostalphobia audiobook should be available in the next week or so. There are also dozens of other videos, feature film, moral media, and more. $5 a month gets you access and helps keep it all going. Patreon.com/picsandportraits. As always, thank you so much for your interest in this channel, and thanks for watching. See you in the future.